Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition for tonight headlines. We have the ceremony of awarding certificates of honor to the women leaders of Dehel. Other nationals in Iraq, new fires in hospital, at least 52 dead and 22 injured. Welcome to our newsroom. This is the news that is echoed in the international media's first, the opening of the capital of the operator Djibouti Telecom, a day marked with the white stones, will say. Listen to Tarek Adnan.
This is the news that is echoed in the international media sphere, the opening of the capital of the operator Djibouti Telecom, a day marked with a white stone will say. This was the main information of the Council of Ministers held Sunday under the chairmanship of the head of state, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Margele. Indeed, the government strategy of modernization sees the agency to transform the economic and institutional environment of a sector generally profitable. Unanimously, all countries and international bodies have greeted the Djibouti government at its highest level. This news has not been long in making the front page of the daily newspapers, but also other presses specialized in telecommunications. The site developing telecoms, its article highlighted Djibouti as one of the last African countries to attempt to open its telecommunications sector. The staff reporter newspaper stated in the heart of its article that the liberalization of telecommunication, which marks the opening of one of the world's last closed telecommunication markets, is apparently news that brings the country into an era of abundant competition and investment opportunities in the nation. Indeed, the Republic of Djibouti has the largest number of international gateway connections in East Africa, which lends to data supply for countries in the region such as Ethiopia and Somalia, most of which generally lack data connectivity. The Micro Business, a daily newspaper in the Philippines, also highlights its article Djibouti on Sunday launched a bidding process for the privatization of partly state-owned Djibouti Telecom, which is part of a plan to modernize the company and reorganize the economy. Also in this idea of opening the capital, the Total Telecom, a Canadian daily stressed in its article that this initiative will help to accelerate the path of reform of its public sector enterprises in order to better cope with international and regional competition and to fully ensure that these companies participate in the national effort to finance the emergence and development. The French-speaking press did not miss this opportunity to mention in these columns. The newspaper Le Monde, the daily announced that Djibouti launched on Sunday, 11 July, the partial privatization of its incumbent operator, Djibouti Telecom, as part of a plan to modernize its economy and reorganize its public enterprises. The Financial Africa, a reference on the African continent, said that the initiative is part of a plan to modernize its economy and reorganize the public enterprises. Further on, they said that this large-scale initiative is part of a vast program to modernize the sector. The company has put in place a strategic development plan with strategic investment program to implement innovative projects. Thus, we can conclude that the Djibouti government has adopted a political discourse that reflects the recognition of the need for reform. To conclude, in a perspective of diversification of its economy, this initiative for Djibouti is an imperative in order to take part in the globalization of the economy.
The Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmed Robli Abdille, presided over a ceremony to receive 2 million face masks donated by the Federal Republic of Germany through the World Health Organization. The ceremony took place in the PK 13 warehouse belonging to CAM in the presence of the German ambassador Michael Hoslers, the coordinator Barbara Manzi, the WHO representative and the director of CAM. Germany is an important donor to WHO, particularly in the global fight against COVID-19. The World Health Organization representative Dr. René von der Wert also thanked the German government for its constant support to WHO. For his part, the German ambassador Michael Hauslers recalled that the considerable contribution of his country to support the global effort against the COVID-19 pandemic. For his part, the Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmed Roble Abdille, thanked the federal government of Germany for these beautiful donations, which will allow our healthcare workers to be better protected in the exercises of their noble duties. The Minister of Decentralization, Qasim Harun Ali, received this Tuesday, July 13, 2021, in his cabinet the representative of UNICEF in Djibouti, Melba Johnson, accompanied by his deputy, Mr. Frank Abey, and Ms. Karen Andrenapiani, Program Officers for Child Protection. The UNICEF representative Melva Johnson first congratulated the minister for his appointment as a head of this ministerial department and also wished him every success in this new ministry. During this first meeting, the two parties discussed several topics focused on project and development of decentralization, child protection, civil studies, and social assistance, but also the strengthening of the partnership between their respective institutions. Following the last visit of the President of the Republic of France, President Guelle, and the French President Emmanuel Macron have decided to start negotiations to draw up a double taxation agreement on income tax. This convention aims to avoid double taxation on companies and individuals resident in both countries. Following the discussions, the Djibouti and French teams began discussions on a draft convention. With this in mind, a virtual meeting has been taking place since yesterday between the negotiators of the two countries. The Djiboutian negotiators are led by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Budget, Simon Mebratou, and the tax advisor to the Ministry of Budget, Mr. Abdel Fattah Moussa, as well as the Director General of Taxes, Mr. Said Guelle, and his team. Djibouti city visibility starts to be bad. Hate-sensitive people start to live, and Hamsin starts to send overwhelming wind. The Hamsin period seems to have started in Djibouti. Winds and sounds cover all the arterial road of Djibouti city. Drivers and vehicles and pedestrian visibility starts to be bad. The arrivals of Hamsin is also marked by the very rough sea. The authorities in charge of civil protection are constantly calling on the population to be more vigilant and to not leave a fire unattended, whether in the kitchens and elsewhere in the houses where people smoke. It is thus recommended to take precautionary measures to avoid accidents. Following the example of other regions, yesterday morning, Monday 12 July, the Dakhel region, under the auspices of the institution of UNFT, a ceremony of awarding certificate of honors to women leaders of the Dakhel region took place. To this effect, the acting prefect Yusuf Aliye, the president of the regional council, Mr. Abdurrahman Yunus Are, as well as two national parliamentarians from the Dakhel regions, among others, Mr. Nouria Waberi and Ms. Aisha Habib, welcomed a strong delegation from UNFT who came to Dakhel to take part in the said ceremony. This delegation, led by the Vice President, Ms. Hasna Ahmed Bilil, accompanied by the Secretary General of UNFT, as well as women parliamentarians. For her part, the Vice President of UNFT, Hasna Ahmed Bilil, thanked the Dakhel authorities and the population for the warm welcome, and she indicated that the women leaders of the region are responsible for the development and shining of the region in the country. The population should work with them for the best future. Yesterday, a partnership agreement was signed in the D-Money headquarters between D-Money and Kiki Drop, the meal delivery platform. This partnership is part of the digitalization of transactions in the digital age. Indeed, it is in this context that a bilateral agreement was signed today between the management of D-Money represented by its director, Ms. Hibo Mahmoud, and Kiki Drop, represented by its director, Mr. Jean-Pierre Chibat. This highly commendable partnership has a double objective. Firstly, to allow the delivery of electronic money at home. Indeed, there is no longer any need to move around to top up once the money valid. The customers can receive this virtual unit at home. In the framework of the joint maritime surveillance operation, the Djibouti Coast Guard and the National Navy intercepted the three Dramout type boat and one Galba type boat of Musha Island in the evening of 10 July 2021, while they were engaged in illegal fishing activities and transporting more than 500 kilo of different species of fish worth 850,000 francs. The 13 fishermen responsible for this serious offense, all of Yemeni origin, were also arrested as part of this operation. As part of the fight against COVID-19 and sanitary measures put in place in our country, the fishermen were placed in the quarantine center at Loada Maritime Coastal Surveillance Station, pending the results of the tests. For the international scene, in Iraq, at least 52 patients died in a fire of the COVID unit of a hospital in Nasiriyah in the south of the country. 22 people were also wounded, according to sources in the region's health department. The fire was caused by the explosions of oxygen cylinders. These scenarios would be the same as the tragedy that killed more than 18 people in a Baghdad hospital 2 months ago. The Iraqi Interior Ministry said on Facebook that the fire started in temporary structures near the hospital, but did not specify the origin of this fire. The tragedy immediately provoked angry reactions in Nasiriyah, where hundreds of people gathered in front of the hospital shouting, "Political parties are burning us." The Al-Hussein Hospital disaster is clear evidence of the failures to protect the lives of Iraqis, and it is time to put an end to these catastrophic failures, tweeted Iraqi parliamentary speaker Mohammed Al-Halbusi, indicate that the member of parliament would take up the issue on Tuesday. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.